here on the Pacific Coast, raining like hell. 0.4 of a mile per hour wind, 0.73 inches of rain overnight. So we had some come down, woke me up. Anyway, so I want to talk about light for a minute and AI. These two are interrelated in a way you wouldn't necessarily think. We're going to use, light has many different uses for us, right? Lasers, space lasers incinerating houses in California, but, also like all the photonic transmission of information through cables and this kind of thing. We use light for many different things. We're going to discover here, we're about to come into this new era, which has been titled Sci-Fi World. In Sci-Fi World, we're going to discover new layers, new substrates of reality in which we can interact. One of these layers is this layer of light. Your human body reacts to and is entirely functioning on light. Okay, you are a biophotonic machine. You actually have biophotonic triggered chemistry. That's what actually makes the chemistry, the biochemistry in your body do stuff. Otherwise, it just sits there. Absent that little biophoton, most of the chemical reactions in your body will not occur. So you're constantly generating these biophotons. This knowledge is out there, and it's being used by duplicitous, lying, thieving scammers like these EE systems people, right? They're saying, you sit next to these computer screens and you get all this flashy light at you and you're healed. And that's horseshit. And they have some form of other, what they call energy, which they claim is scalar. And that's also horseshit, right? If there was scalar waves, every airport in 500 miles of any one of these systems would shut down. Military would be swarming them and they would all be arrested. Anyway, so EE Systems is a scam. It's a joke. It's a grift. It's intended to suck money out of you, and they sell you these worthless computers for between $20,000 and $50,000. Anyway, the claim is from them that sitting in front of these lights gives you biophotons, and that's horseshit. You can't get biophotons that way. You can't stimulate the biophotons by putting light on your body like Jeff Berwick does with his little funny twisted fluorescent tubes that only produce a specific range of white light because of the coating on the inside of the tube. That's not possible to overcome that physics there, even if they were trying, and they're not. It's another scam. But here's the thing. In Sci-Fi World, we're going to discover how light works within the biochemistry of the human body. We're going to discover that as an aspect of using light for computers, all right? Because light is ever so much more fast than electricity, and you can do things with light that do not alter it. So you can have a beam of light, and you can split that light, but each of those beams is the same as the originating beam, and the originating beam is not degraded. So this is unlike electricity. Electricity will only go that route a little ways. If you keep splicing off on electricity, you keep lowering aspects of it. The amperage and the voltage, that kind of thing, are affected by the number of connections. This is not true with light. We're coming up to this point in Sci-Fi World, and the technology, which is emerging from the reversed engineered alien shit, where we're going to grasp this nature, this aspect of light and how it works at this particular substrate. This particular substrate will, at the time, be, this is forecast in the data from maybe 2002 or something. But the substrate we'll be dealing with on this is going to be for computers. However, it will occur to people that the biophotonic aspects of the human body are also operating at this particular substrate in regards to light, and in fact are light generators. So if you go to someone in the woo community that has this ability, that understands the 4 cardinal points of the eye, they can actually look at you and see your fluctuations of your aura as it occurs. Now bear in mind, you cannot take a photo of an aura, okay? We cannot accurately pick up with any devices we have. So anybody telling you they've got a machine that'll pick your aura up is full of horseshit. The aura is composed of biophotonic energy that leaks out, that is actually broadcast out of the body because you interact with your environment through these biophotonic emissions. And you form these clouds of biophotonic emissions around you, which can be seen by people who have the eyes of an adept, okay, who understand the 4 cardinal points in the eye and how to control it mentally and blah, blah, blah. They can see it, they could probably sketch it for you, but it changes millisecond by millisecond based on your hormonal levels, your thoughts, all of this kind of thing, right? Anyway, so recording it is stupid. Who cares if you've got a picture of your aura? That's that millisecond that it occurred. 1 millisecond later, you may eat something and feel terrible, and all of a sudden your aura shrinks. So it's not meaningful that way. However, this is going to be meaningful to us because biophotonic triggering mechanisms are going to be the root, the base for energy healing. Okay, so it's not shoving electricity in you. It's not a bed where you go lie down and they zap you with frequencies and shit. That is a bunch of crap. It won't work that way. It will be specific wavelengths of light in a form that you will not be able to generate on your own or get from a particular machine, and it'll have to be harmonized and put into you in specific ways, right? Now, physicists and doctors now are acknowledging that there's no technical reason, no practical reason that the human body could not be extended to last many times its design feature of 120 years, right? And that we can repair and regenerate at fantastic levels using specific techniques that we're just now getting into. So they understand that we can rebuild the body. We'll be able to, regrow limbs even. But it's not going to be that you're going to get in a bed and get up with a new part of an arm, right? It's going to be a process that will be long and laborious because it must be grown in this reality. It's not magic. And so such things may be possible, and people would just elect not to do it because they don't want to spend the next 15 years trying to grow a replacement arm for something that was taken from them in a harvesting accident in the woods, right? They just don't want to do it. It's going to take too long, too much of their life, and so on. We will get this level of regeneration. It will be biophotonically triggered and controlled, and that's the issue. You have to control it with the biophotons as it goes along, which is why it's going to be somewhat tedious, and because you have to actually grow. You've got to eat the food, get the atoms in your body such that they can be used in these light-triggered biophotonic initiated processes that are biochemistry that allow you to build proteins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very complex, right? You're not going to manage this on your own. You'll use AI to do this. AI is not sentient. It doesn't know shit. It can't think. It's not creative. It is not as people like Carrie Cassidy think. AI does not exist that way. And the people that she has that are providing her confirmation bias on her thinking are doing her a disservice, and or they are also as stupid as she relative to AI, right? I mean, she claims, she has these interviews on these guys that are claimed to be scientists who say they're scientists in AI, and then they spew off the most outrageous horseshit. So, in my opinion, it's harsh, my opinion here, but if you don't code, if you've never run a neural net, your opinion of AI is not worth me listening to, unless you're going to talk about it on a social level, where it's going to cause those kind of changes. But if you're talking about it on a technical level, you don't know what you're speaking about. Anyway, so here's the thing. Zero-point technology is a base for all different kinds of things developing in sci-fi world. Not only the floating RV and that kind of thing, right? Not only the ability to go interplanetary, but also it's going to be used for the base for a new form of AI that's based on light and a new understanding of these light-based substrates within organic systems. So the new form of AI based on light is going to be analog, all right? So that's going to twist a lot of people's mind because it's going to have a digital interface, very much like the quantum computers, right? Quantum computers can't be networked. They can't touch anything in the physical world. All of this quantum computer, quantum financial stuff is absolute horseshit. I'm glad to see it falling away. So you got to be careful about these expectations that are broadcast out from the woo world, because they are false. They're illusionary. They're absolute fantasy. But we are getting into the reality of the sci-fi world, and it's just simply not going to be as you imagine. But it will be based on a new understanding of a substrate of reality that emerges from this zero-point technology understanding that we're about to start seeing input into our social order. So in my opinion, we'll have zero-point technology emerge, likely this year. I see the signs of it now in the language. Language always precedes the change itself manifesting from the event stream. We always think about it, we always talk about it before this shit happens. Anyway, so I think it's going to come out this year. I think it'll come out in a couple of different forms. I think the language is indicating that now. If I am correct, then about 10 years from now, we should have a very highly effective analog AI-controlled biophotonic origination system, in the sense that we will be able to originate specific kinds of photons at specific frequencies that do things within the body that cause things to change. And so at that point, we will really have an effective method for treating diseases. But also, we'll have a lot of people not getting vaccinated, so the level of diseases for that generation will drop rapidly. In the very next generation, there will be no one vaccinated. So 10 years from now, there will be no vaccines allowed. In animals or humans or anybody, right? It'll just come to that level of understanding. And we will have a very effective alternative, which is this new understanding of this lower level of substrate of reality that is within the event stream itself, in my way of characterizing it. And we'll be able to manipulate that in the process of it manifesting. Complicated, I don't want to go into it now, this is too long anyway, but watch out now, in these intervening 10 years, for all the people that are going to come out with all these weird-ass scams, like these EE Systems folks and others of their ilk, the little patches you put on you that, supposedly redirect electricity and specific frequencies back to you. Absolute bunch of horseshit, right? You get a placebo effect, I grant you that, but if you eliminate that in an experiment, there's no effect, right? So if you had a bunch of people put these things on, and half of them turned out to just be a paper wafer, and they still got the effect, then the effect is placebo and is not generated by the device itself. Anyway, so just bitching and moaning about the scammers out there. And you're going to have to watch out for them, because they're going to be very active in this period of the emergence of the ZPT, because the language will allow it, right? They'll talk about biophotons and this kind of stuff without having a fucking clue as to what they're speaking about. But they'll craft a cohesive narrative that will sucker in the unwary. And we need to be advised about this because of the situations in which we're existing, right? We're in the middle of a war. People are dying from the vax right and left. It's going to get worse. The space aliens are going to be an intrusion. We're going to get rid of religion. We're going into this mass period of chaos. So you got to really hold your mind tight and get ready to navigate this shit. But it's out there and it's coming. It's in the language now. And AI can't jump out of the machine and eat you and all of this kind of stuff, right? But we need AI. It will replace roles and activities within the social order. It's not replacing humans, though, right? The humans can find new roles and new activities, and they can adapt. AI can't adapt. It's use specific. And it will be there to absorb and do a lot of the grunt work as we elevate ourselves up in terms of a social order. And we're in a very key period of time where we have to rebuild the population base and understand what's going on and get this new paradigm of the ontology versus the grit, and get rid of the gritology and all of that shit, just so we'll be able to talk on an even keel with the space aliens. And in my opinion, it's going to be very, very exciting and very testing on humans. And my approach to all of this is assume it's false, try to prove it false, and if you can't, maybe trust it a little bit, right? Until you can prove it false. So on all of this shit, if they come up and they say they're going to heal you with light, tell them, hey, I'm from Missouri, show me.